Hello and welcome back. I'm Jackie Baker. This is your weekly dose of real estate reality. Thanks for joining me this evening. So happy that you're all here. So here it's Happy Monday, the week of Thanksgiving. Got Thanksgiving coming up in a few days. I can't believe that. Holy cow, this year is flying by. So this week I have a special guest. I'm going to bring him on, Mr. Trevor Smith. Here we go. Hello, Trevor.
Hey, how's it going?
All right. How are you? Thanks for being here.
Yeah, always glad to join in.
Oh, I appreciate it. We got a lot to talk about. So,
Well, good.
Yeah, just a little background. Trevor, you're a mortgage originator, and you're also a real estate agent in North Carolina.
Yep.
Right? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yep.
Awesome. So how is that possible? Because I think in Jersey, you can't be both. You can't do mortgages and be an agent at the same time.
So the only state that I know that you can't be dual compensated is Utah, but I'm not sure about New Jersey.
Yeah, I don't think you can. Yeah.
Typically, yeah, for pretty much every state, you can't be dual compensated on government loans, so VA loans and FHA loans.
Oh, okay.
But as long as you're properly disclosing, you can be dual compensated. But that being said, I really don't practice that much real estate.
Okay.
I just keep the real estate license because one, it allows me to provide a better level of service to the clients that I'm working with, when it comes to mortgages, because that's 100% what I focus on.
Right.
And, because now I have an understanding of the contracts and stuff like that, especially in North Carolina, although I do loans in many states. So.
Okay, awesome. So at the end, I will share your information and your channel. And Trevor's also known, he goes by the Mortgage Wingman. I think that's so cool.
Yep.
Because you are a pilot. You're in the Air Force, right?
Yeah. So I served for 20 years in the Air Force, retired, flew the F-15E for a long time, got the hat on and everything. And I really just wanted to carry over, that kind of, the wingman mentality and always being there for somebody and just providing that higher level of service and execution to the clients that I'm working with. So that's what I do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you for your service. We appreciate it. Give you guys so much credit. So I want to get into the first article. Let me get into, where are you? I swear one of these days I'm going to get a producer. I'm going to be like Christina Smallhorn and I will get a producer. How about that? Okay. So the first article, so it's the title of this week's live stream was, is new construction going to cause a crash? There's this big concern out there about the new construction is just, it's kind of dying down. The home builders are pulling back because of these rising interest rates. So this is from CNBC. This is from a while ago, but it says here home builders say they're on the edge of a steeper downturn as buyers pull back. So let me go back here. Just really quick, the once hot housing market is cooling off at an alarming rate, and some home builders say it will only get worse come the new year as new orders dry up. Fast rising mortgage rates have caused once frenzied home buyers to turn on their heels and become worried about their potential investment and the health of the overall economy. So this is I don't know. This is a little let me get back here. It's a little concerning here. What do you think? I think yeah, I mean, we knew this was going to happen, but when you go further on into the article and the other articles, I think the big concern is now the inventory is so low as it is. Mm-hmm. Now they stop building and the inventory is going to be, it's not going to be any better once the rates come back down. There's not going to be not many homes available. I mean, what are you seeing down in North Carolina? Are you finding that these new projects are slowing down?
So I am a little bit biased because I am under contract to buy new construction myself.
Oh, good for you. So good for you.
I kind of have a front row seat to what's going on with that. We've been
share.
we went under contract back in March when the builder had really just barely started breaking ground on a subdivision with 35 lots. Mm-hmm. And so it's probably taken longer than I think a lot of people. They walk up on a new construction project and they've already, maybe see the roads paved and some houses starting to go up and stuff like that. So we were in it, from the very beginning. I can say that, really since March, we saw the mortgage rates really continue to rise going into the summer. And, there was all this talk about everything was going to collapse, demand was going away. But at least here in the Charlotte area, there was still demand. In fact, there's only a handful of lots remaining in the neighborhood that we're building. And we were one of the first out of, the 35 or so that are in there.
Oh, wow.
So, I would say that a year ago, those 35 lots probably would have been gone in a couple of months, so it's taken, the better part of 6 or 7 months to get to probably about that 80% sold number there and there. And eventually the rest are going to sell just because there's no other inventory, so.
Right. But now do you find, to me, it's like, okay, 6, 7 months, that's about average for what a builder, for how long these lots would sell off for in a normal market, I feel. I mean, do you feel that way? That feels.
Well, when I say sold, so, around 80% of the lots are sold, but they just started breaking ground and framing, the first house, like 3 weeks ago, maybe 2-3 weeks ago.
Okay.
So these are all homes that will not be move-in ready until probably June or July timeframe.
So now, when will yours be done?
We are looking at probably August or September for ours specifically. So
really,
well, only because we changed lots from one end to the other end of the neighborhood as they started opening up more lots, and that kind of put us down a little bit further on the building order for the flow at which they're building through the neighborhood. So
now, now let's talk about your mortgage. I mean, if you're waiting that long to close, I mean, are you worried about what that rate's going to be in next summer?
No, I mean, and this is the thing that I tell, the people that I work with, that are either contemplating buying a house or contemplating new construction. First of all, there are builders out there that offer you some incentives in terms of they're able to go ahead and lock a rate in now, even though they're not going to be complete with that project for maybe, 10 months to a year down the road. Mm-hmm. What I advise people is if the builder is offering you that, just always get a second opinion. Generally, it's still going to be a pretty decent deal because they're offering a significant amount of credits or something else to kind of offset that. You may sometimes have to pay a fee up front to do that. So it's really going to be dependent on the builder. And that's why I would just strongly encourage you to get a second opinion.
Okay.
Really, the downside to not using that, a program where you can lock in and then, wait and close later, like with the builder, is that if you're working with a typical lender, most lenders aren't going to be able to lock that interest rate until you're about 30 to 60 days from closing. Right. And so now you're buying the risk of our rates going to be, significantly higher down the road.
Right.
So, I always tell people, take whatever the current rate is, add 2% to it. And if you're comfortable making that payment, then, just you're planning for the worst and you're going to be okay moving forward.
Okay.
Do I think rates are going to be 2% higher? No. I kind of feel like we've kind of reached a peak a couple of weeks ago or so when we kind of topped off in the low 7s. Mm-hmm. I think that as things go forward into next year, we're probably going to see rates stabilize in this 5 to 7% range. And eventually, we'll be back down probably towards the low 5s. I don't know when though.
Right. So now you're saying, okay, if the rate's going to hang out in the 5s, right now it's going to bring all these buyers back in that were just priced out once they hit 7%. Now they drop down to mid 5s or to 6. Okay, I'm back in the game again. Now there's going to be all these houses that are not built because these builders have pulled out for now.
Yep.
We're going to go back in the same problem that we've had the last 2 years. It's going to drive the prices back up again.
Yeah.
Am I right? Yeah, I mean, or am I thinking, that's what my big concern. Like, oh my God, like we're going to go back to the nightmare we had the last 2 years.
Yeah. And that's something I've also been talking to people about because I've had clients that start, going shopping for a house, we start talking about the rates. And this is back, a month ago as rates were starting to climb up into the sevens. And they're like, okay, like I'm out. I can't do this anymore. I don't want to, even though I can possibly afford it. I just want to wait until rates come back, wait until the rates come back down. Mm-hmm. And my question then is, okay, well, if you're waiting, how many other people are also waiting for the same thing? Like, I get it that rates aren't where you would like them to be. And it's, not fun watching the interest rates tick up higher and higher. Yeah. But like I said, they have pulled back some. But at the end of the day, like if you need a house and you can afford to buy a house, you have a compelling reason that's forcing you to move, or you're just, like, hey, I need to move. Now's the time to not be fearful, because you can look at it two different ways, right? If you're able to go ahead and buy now, if rates go higher, you're going to be glad you got the rate that you did. Mm-hmm. And if rates go lower, you can always refinance, yes. And yes, there are costs associated with a refinance. I know that. And, I'm not trying to, trick anybody about that, but, you just have to consider those things. And that's why, like, for me, like when I look at purchasing new construction, especially, I don't know what the rates are going to be by the time we close next fall. But I'm comfortable if the rates are a little bit higher, and I'm comfortable definitely if the rates end up being lower.
Right. So, yep. Yep. It's so everything's a risk, right? But like you said, if you have to make that move, you have to buy something.
Yeah, and we pulled that trigger, to go under contract when interest rates. This was, like I said, back in last March or April, when rates were probably still in the fives. Wow. And so we sat there watching it go up to the sevens, and you can imagine what that does to a projected payment on a property,
Yeah.
But
who knows? It could be back down to that in that 5 range by the time you close on it. So, yeah. But nobody knows.
Well, but I'll tell you what makes me happy, and and I think it's important for people that are considering buying, regardless of the interest rates, is like you've been mentioning, is the competition, right?
Yep.
So if we had waited, we would not have gotten the lot that we wanted. We wouldn't have gotten, the options, because even though we ended up changing lots, they kept our pecking order in terms of like being able to select, exterior packages and things like that, for design elements and stuff.
Yeah.
And so we got to keep our preferences in order for all that stuff. And, I just look at the competition that has, it's still there,
Yep. Oh yeah.
And so that competition is only going to increase if all of a sudden we see rates drop off another, they dropped in pretty dramatic fashion from the low sevens to about the mid sixes to low sixes recently.
Yep.
If we see another move like that lower of 0.75% or 1% down to the low to mid fives, I mean, people are going to be jumping back in. I've had 3 buyers go under contract within the last 2 weeks because, they're like, okay, let's go ahead and take advantage of this right now, just from that little move.
Right. So. Oh yeah. It's all about timing. That's a couple of clients that I had just recently closed. They got the house. When I talk about like perfect timing, they jumped in right when the rates they got it. I think they ended up getting like 5 3/4, 5.75, right when rates were over 6%. Their lender got them just under 6, and it's like everything aligned perfectly. They got the price, they got the rate. It's all about timing, right? And if they'd waited, now forget it. They wouldn't have been able to afford that house. So. Yeah, that's what it's all about. So I just have a couple of questions here.
Yes, I see that.
Yeah. So we got a little activity. Brian Wong. Hello, Brian. Welcome back. Are companies like Pulte? I never heard of them. Lennar and Toll Brothers reliable?
I've heard of Pulte.
I never heard of Pulte. Lennar and Toll Brothers, I know of. Actually, we bought a home from Lennar down in Delaware. We bought a townhome. I would say Lennar was very good. I was very pleased with the way everything came out and their level of service. Toll Brothers, I haven't had anybody use Toll Brothers. My clients, I've had a couple clients buy a home through K. Hovnanian, but Toll Brothers, what I find with Toll Brothers, I don't know, Trevor, if you agree with this or not, if you ever seen a Toll Brothers home, I just feel like the level of quality is a little higher than like a Hovnanian
Yep.
or a Lennar.
Yeah.
You're definitely getting a quality product from Toll Brothers. But Pulte, tell me about Pulte. I've never heard of them.
Um, I, all I know is I've heard of them. I can't say that I'm that familiar with them, but I know the name.
Okay.
What I would say though is like, even if you have a brand name, well-known builder, you can still have issues if they're new to your area, only because
Yeah.
of like, labor management issues, and other supply chain issues and other unfamiliarity with local zoning restrictions or laws or things like that, so, and they just don't perhaps have the relationships developed with the local contractors like more established builders that have been building in your area for a long time. So,
Mhm.
I would say that even if a builder has a really good reputation and a big name, that's something to definitely take a look at, is their experience in your local area.
Right. That's a good point. Actually, funny story. I shared this last week with Lennar. The community where we bought in Delaware, we have a friend that is buying a house, not a townhouse, like a villa, like it's like a
Mhm.
semi-attached house. He was supposed to close in August, and he hasn't closed yet because they couldn't get a transformer for that section of the neighborhood. There's no electricity in any of these homes. Supply chain.
Yeah,
Supply chain. That's what they're saying. It's a supply chain issue. They couldn't get a transformer. He's not closing until January.
yeah,
And
and it's interesting to me because like I would assume that the supply chain issues have gotten better, and I think they have, as the demand for the new construction has gone down.
yeah.
Um, but they're still having problems. And I know, not only is the demand for homes going to go up when interest rates come down, but the supply chain issues are obviously, if they're not fixed now and demand is low, they're
Yeah.
just going to be worse when demand goes back up again.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So they better get on the ball and deal with that. All right. Nick. Hi, Nick. How are you? Okay. There was a home listed in Allendale with plans posted. It's been on the market since May and they have lowered the price a bit. What's the best way to approach the builder to try and get a deal? Well, sorry, just looking at the best way to approach the builder. I don't know. I mean, you can go in. Well, first of all, if you saw it on multiple listing, it's listed with the agent. So you have to go through them first and just, talk to them, see what kind of incentives, like would they throw anything in, any upgrades in? Would they throw, I don't know, just your basic upgrades or any or even lower the price. If it's sitting there, they have to offload it. If it's been sitting there since May, I would think they're going to want to get rid of it. Now, I know it cost them a pretty penny to build that
I
house.
would say the first step is make sure you have a great realtor like Jackie or
Yeah,
somebody,
you can get me.
that you're working with.
Yeah,
Even if it is listed by another agent or listed by the builder, you still want representation, to protect your best interest going in to purchase that property.
yep,
The other thing from the mortgage perspective that I would say is keep in mind that, a $10,000 price reduction might save you a couple bucks a month, on your mortgage, but a $10,000 credit to go towards your closing cost or your interest rate or things like that, especially if it goes towards your interest rate, could end up saving you a couple $100 a month on your payment.
mhm,
So it's just something you kind of have to weigh, and balance.
yep,
And even if they're offering you something in regards towards your interest rate, if you use their preferred lender, what I would still do is wait until you're within about 30 days to close, and then go get a second opinion. Getting a second opinion now on a home that's not going to be done for 6 months doesn't really help you. Wait until you're about 30 days away from closing and say, hey, this is my builder, this is the quote they gave me, here's what their rate they're going to give me and the credits, etc. Mr. Other lender, what can you do? Can you beat this?
mhm,
Sometimes they can, and sometimes they can't. So
yep. That's a good one. It's a good suggestion. But talking about the concessions offering to pay for the points, I did see that once. I saw that once. I was showed a house to somebody, and they were offering that. The seller was offering that. Nick, that might be a good option to ask the builder.
Yeah, just be careful though. Whether it's new construction or not, Jackie, because when it comes to the points, if interest rates are going to fall in the future, which it's possible they may, and again they might not, but if they are, and if you're counting on that, then all that money you're paying for those points to get a lower rate right now is most likely wasted because you're wanting to refinance when the rates go down. And so it's a matter of working with a professional mortgage loan officer that can kind of show you the math and the break even. And what I mean by that is the cost of the points worth the amount of savings that you're going to get, and when are you going to recoup that savings? So
right.
Typically, I would say if you're paying more than a point, you might want to just carefully consider the math on that before you go.
Okay. All right, cool. All right. Thanks, Trevor. Frank B78, Pulte is huge. They build all over the country. It's so funny. I never heard of them. That's sad. Okay. Brian, hi. If you were moving from Morris to Bergen, would you recommend having one realtor for both selling and buying? It seems like most realtors are focused on one county. I would listen. I would prefer to have one agent because you want that continuity. You want to make sure that that everything is running smoothly on the sale, and that's because that sale is going to enable you in your purchase. Even though they're in different counties, a lot of us work in multiple counties. I worked in Morris County. I've covered, I'm actually selling a house in Morris County right now. So we do manage multiple counties. It's not just, I live in Bergen. I do a lot of business in Bergen, but I have gone outside of the area. So, and there are a lot of agents that do that. But I just think for continuity purposes, it's just better to have one agent managing everything, because sometimes if you have a listing agent selling your house and you're working with a buyer's agent and they need to communicate, right? Because if you're going to be buying a house, you want to make sure everything's going well on the sale, and you're going to have this constant back and forth, and there could be miscommunication. I've been there, done that, where I had clients I was representing on the buy side, and they had a house to sell somewhere else, and they had it listed with somebody else. And I had, there was issues that they were running into on their sale, and just, it gets a little hairy. But, if you want, just make it easy. I think one agent is the best way to go. So that's my thought. So you're welcome, Nick. You're always welcome. So another thing I wanted to bring up, I was going to go into this Forbes article, but the home builders one, I know I'm jumping around, Trevor. I'm sorry. I'm like,
no, you're good.
I'm not doing what I said I would do, but that's okay.
While you're pulling that up, I'll say that the, from a loan officer perspective,
yes,
if your real estate agent is able to actually physically be at both properties, to represent you, like they have knowledge of the area, not like you're moving out of state or something, I would recommend using the same agent, because it's just going to make, especially if the purchase is going to be contingent on the sale of your other house, or you're trying to do, simultaneous closings or other, it's just,
absolutely,
it's going to make things so much easier for you.
Yep.
And for me too.
Yes. It does. It does make it easier. Okay. So builder confident. Here we go. This is from National Association of Home Builders. This literally just came out. So this is builder confidence declines for 11 consecutive months as housing weakness continues. So talking about incentives, Trevor, this is a part of the article I wanted to talk about. So it says here, to bring more buyers into the marketplace, 59% of builders report using incentives, with a big increase in usage from September to November. For example, in November, 25% of builders say they are paying points for buyers. That's up from 13% in September. Mortgage rate buy downs rose from 19% to 27% over the same time frame. 37% of builders cut prices in November, up from 26% in September, with an average price reduction of 6%. It's still far below the 10 to 12% price cuts seen during the Great Recession in 2008. Even as the home prices moderate, building costs, labor, and materials, particularly for concrete, have yet to follow. To ease the worsening housing affordability crisis, policymakers must seek solutions that create more affordable and attainable housing. So What do you think about that? I think, hold on. I think this whole, again, with supply chain, the cost of everything,
Mhm.
we have a serious problem here. Serious, like this, it's the housing crisis, right? It's this is
Yeah.
all this is all we know right now. I I mean, getting the government involved at this point, I don't know what they can do. I don't know if that's going to fix it.
So
I don't,
what's interesting to me about that article is they don't talk about what percentage of you know of incentives were being offered pre-pandemic. You know,
mm,
so before we got into this crazy sellers market, in my opinion, and I think I've anecdotally read this somewhere else, but it appears that a lot of these increased builder incentives are basically builders that went from having no incentives, for the past year,
yeah,
to now they're having to offer incentives, which is very typical. If you look at a normal market, it is very typical for builders to offer some sort of incentives for the buyers, to get them in the door.
hmm,
And so, it might seem like a dramatic percentage increase, but I don't think it's really that big of a deal. Especially considering that they're not sitting. It's not like they're sitting on dozens and dozens of unsold homes that they can't find buyers for.
right. Well, it's funny. I was researching some projects up here in Jersey. So Hovnanian is offering like a big price reduction. I forget what the percentage was. So you had the option to do the lower price or the points. I will tell you that's the first time I've seen anyone offering to do the buy downs. Any builder
Mhm.
offering that. Like when we bought our townhome in Delaware with Lennar. Yeah, I wanna say it was in early of 2021, and then they offered us it was like $10,000 towards closing, alright, because we used their
Yeah.
mortgage people. So that yeah, I see what you're saying. That was, like, normal stuff. Now Lennar is offering, like, 20,000 in closing because the closing costs are expensive in Delaware. I can't believe
Mhm.
what you pay. And they're doing price reductions, and they're doing, like, all these upgrades
Mhm.
because of that transformer issue. They couldn't close on that section of the neighborhood in August. They couldn't close on the number of homes. So here we got to now we're going to slash prices and offer incentives to offload these other properties so they can meet their numbers for this
Yeah.
year, right? So, um, yeah, but that's an interesting point, though. I mean, you're right. They do offer incentives, but nothing like what they're doing now. I think it's kind of crazy the stuff they were offering, but
Well, yeah, and I think maybe what you're seeing in your market too, because obviously every market's a little bit different.
yeah,
Like I was saying, like here in the Charlotte area, I mean, we're seeing builder incentives, but they're not crazy. We're not like, in fact, the neighborhood that I'm buying in, like the home prices are up. The base model prices from when we went under contract, they've gone up since
yeah.
we went under contract. So
Mm.
prices are still going up. They're not making price reductions here. You know,
Wow. Are
I
you
think,
a lot of people from out of state are still moving there, I assume?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, and that's mainly Charlotte's just a really hot spot right now for job growth.
Yep.
Um, so as long as we continue to have that influx of people and the job growth here, that's going to support that. I think really the only incentive that our builder started offering was like a month ago, and I think it was only like $5,000, towards an interest rate, buy down basically. But
Oh my god, that's it?
it wasn't much. So uh,
Oh my god.
there were a couple incentives for the first 5 lots, which is when we got in. So
Yeah.
kind of to get some initial momentum going. And so we were able to take advantage of that. And then those went away. And like I said, the prices have gone up since when we went under contract. So yeah, I guess it just depends on your market.
It
What's going
does, it
on.
does,
So
and I was talking to an agent up here today, we were talking about, the YouTube channels, and he said he's looking to buy and he wants to get a second property in Sarasota, Florida. And he
hmm,
goes, I can't believe all the agents in on YouTube down that are in Florida. I go, I know. and they're killing it because Florida is such a hot market. You know, they don't have to do anything. They just like do a search. They're like, oh, go with this agent and, you know, buy a house. But yeah, it's any, and I feel like anywhere but here in the Northeast, like everybody's killing it.
Nobody, it's cold up there. Nobody wants to live up there. It's too cold.
It's been freezing the past few days. I feel like, well, we had a little snow, like a tiny little snowstorm, not snowstorm, just a little bit of snow last Friday night. But like today, it's been freezing. I was like, it feels like it's January here. Like we're never this cold, this early on. Like this, I was like, now I'm like, I got to get out of here. I don't want to live with this anymore. But yeah, so I'm sure half of Jersey is down in Charlotte right now. So no joke. But anyway, so what else? Let me so it's just interesting. I pulled these articles up and they're all saying it's gonna crash. We're just, you know, we're all dying. We're all gonna you know,
it's all gonna crash and
we're all gonna crash and burn
until it doesn't crash.
We're gonna lose our shirts. Like this one here, housing market recession. This is from November 17th. This is from Forbes. Housing market recession deterioration continues as creating new home construction threatens to intensify shortage. Now, I agree with that, though. As I said before, the shortage is going to be a big issue if they don't continue building these homes now. So what would you think if they... It's like, I understand they got, you know, this costs them money to build these houses, but what if the government did give them some type of incentive to keep building just so they're ready to go? You know what I mean?
No, don't do that.
I know. I don't know. You don't think? Like,
no, I mean, if the government's going to provide any sort of incentive, like first of all, it needs to be, you know, down at a state level, you know, or county level decision, you know, and even that, I would say, those incentives need to be tied to affordable housing, not to just any builder. And so we got to look at development within certain parts of the city or redevelopment. You know, basically we got to go back to these homes that you know, you're talking about maybe like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, or even a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, you know, options that are, you know, bare minimal, get in, get out the door, you know, type of home that, you know, the majority of Americans can actually afford,
right?
Rather than, you know, focusing on high profit margins with all the bells and whistles and everything like that, you know?
Yep. So what is your price point down there?
So I'm kind of, I don't know what I want to say.
Sorry.
So I would say in the town that I'm living in, though, the average, when we're moving down the road, but when keep in mind, we bought here pre-pandemic and well below what the average price point is, but the average price point right now is between 750 and 800,000, where I'm at right now. And in certain parts of where the area near me, where I live right now, just to buy a lot in some new neighborhoods, there's one neighborhood where the lot prices alone for like an acre are $200,000. So
that's like Jersey prices. Oh my God.
Yeah. You can buy 1 acre lot for 200 grand and then you can build on that. That's obviously the most expensive neighborhood down the street from us where we're living now. And my lot is nowhere near worth that much. I wish it was. So,
yeah,
but yeah, it's crazy.
God, holy cow.
But Jackie, one of the reasons, and so the reason why we have such high prices where I'm at, so I kind of live in the suburbs of Charlotte.
Yeah.
And the city that I live in has population density restrictions that make building, you know, clusters of homes, you know, cramming them all in, like you just can't do it. Builders aren't allowed to do it.
Okay.
You can't build more than 7 homes for every 10 acres of land. So that's what keeps the population density down. It's what helps keep traffic down. The problem is all the cities around us don't have those density restrictions. So, you know, they cut through our city to go to Charlotte, go to and from Charlotte for work. But that's what drives up the prices of homes in this. It's a very small city kind of suburb area of Charlotte. So that's why the prices are so high here. So,
wow.
But we're moving. So,
oh my God. Well, good for you. That's great. And nothing like new construction.
But I guess the point to that though is those population density control measures, like they seem good, right, to the residents that live there. Like we don't want all this traffic in here, but at the same time, they make housing unaffordable for everybody. Only a very small segment can afford to live in a city like that.
Yeah.
So I think when we talk about government intervention and stuff like that, if a city wants to do something like that, then there should still be a designated percentage that can be allocated for, maybe lessening those density restrictions to allow more houses to be built. So we can, builders can't really build a house for less than a certain cost when they're having to spread them out so far, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can build them all right next to each other or build them as duplexes and things like that. Then you certainly have a lot more options to help keep the costs down. So.
Right. That's interesting. That is really interesting. All right. Brian, you're such an active participant. I love it. Thank you. Are you seeing general contractors reducing their price due to the current market? For a while, they were charging an arm and leg for any renovation. I'm not. I'm actually having work done right now. And so I'm having my master bath renovated. And compared to what I paid 3 years ago when I had our other main bath redone, I'm paying slightly more right now. And I knew that going into it, and it was going to be more expensive. It is what it is. Materials are more money. That's it. Sorry, Brian. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but if you're going to do any additions or renovations, get ready to pay some money. I mean, I get this a lot when I'm showing houses to my clients, and they're like, well, what do you think? How much do you think this is going to cost? And, I'm like, I tell them, I'm not a contractor, but I was saying the ballpark of everything you want to do, you're going to renovate the entire home, figure 150. I would say 150 to 200,000. Like if you're going to go soup to nuts, do the entire home, renovate everything.
That's on the low end.
Yeah, I know it may be more, but I tell them it all depends on what are you going to do, like top of the line appliances, top of the line cabinets, top of the line everything. You can do middle grade, do low grade. It all depends on what you choose, so it's hard to say. But they'd say about 200,000 if you're going to renovate your entire house. So a kitchen nowadays, like I know somebody that spent $100,000 just on a kitchen. But that was all, like when I tell you, all bougie, custom cabinets, gorgeous, Carrara marble countertops, all that fun stuff. So yeah, it's expensive. It's expensive to own a house. Just that's all I'm going to say about that. So anyway, so now question for you, Trevor. Maybe you haven't seen this issue, but you deal with a lot of VA loans, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's interesting during the pandemic. In the past 2 years, I had a client. They unfortunately had to bow out of the market because of job changes and whatnot. But they wanted to use their husband's VA loan. Mm-hmm. And during this craziness, I would tell you, nobody would look at them, because they wanted to put zero down. They wanted to take advantage of their loan. Mm-hmm. And they had a hard time. They wouldn't look at them. Meanwhile, a few years ago, I had somebody do a VA loan. It was a non-issue. Yeah. So I'm hopeful that now that we're coming back to normalcy, that, that'll be accepted again, with people using a VA and going 0% down. So what do you see down there?
So I would agree with you. And right now, well, really over the past 2-3 years, like 90% of my business is VA loans. And during the hot market, it was very, very challenging to get VA buyers under contract. Mm-hmm. And so I had to work with them on a lot of different strategies, because the perception is you're getting a zero money down loan because you don't have any money.
Yes.
When in a lot of cases, these were individuals that had, I had one guy, he had $400,000 that he was going to put down on a house and, buying $1 million property, and nobody would even consider his offer, because it was still a VA loan. But now that the demand has kind of died down a little bit, like VA buyers are back in the game, because the other thing that sellers were afraid of was the property not appraising.
Yep.
People were offering over ask price. And now if it doesn't appraise as a VA buyer, you can get your earnest money back and walk,
Yep.
So that's a big risk for a seller in a hot market. But now we're not seeing those offers above list price. And so sellers are more inclined to take the VA offers. And frankly, like, usually they're a better credit profile and better option than a conventional buyer anyways.
Right. Oh, I agree with you. I totally agree with you there. They, what do you call it? But talking about that with, people saying, oh, you're zero money down because you don't have the money. Like, I wish more agents were educated about the VA loans, because that was an issue I was running into when I was trying to submit offers for these clients, when they're like, ooh, VA loan. Ooh, like, oh, isn't that like an FHA? And they like have this stigma attached to it. I'm like, no, this is how it works.
Yeah.
I even had a situation where they wanted to offer, no, it wasn't them. It was my other client that went VA. He actually showed he was going to put 25. He said, I don't know how to do this. He said he had $25,000, like almost like as a, not earnest money, but I guess like earnest money, just to say I had the money to put down to show I have skin in the game. But he was not using that towards any down payment or anything. He was going to go zero down. So I forget how we did that. Maybe, I don't know if you're familiar with that. I mean, it was so long ago.
Well, here's a couple things to keep in mind too. Like, if for VA buyers out there, just because you say you're going to put money down on a contract doesn't mean you have to.
Right.
So you can always change your mind. So, from a working, trying to win the offer perspective, if you have the money, sitting in your bank account, or investments, and you can show proof of funds, as, hey, I would like to buy this house, Mr. Seller, and I'm going to do, 10% down or 20% down, and here's my proof of funds, and I'm getting a VA loan. Now, all of a sudden, like that, the VA loan isn't as scary, because they go, oh, like, he's got all this money. Okay. Like,
right.
We can trust him. Right. And then once you go under contract, like, the seller, like, doesn't really know how much money you put down until they see the closing statement anyways at the closing table. And what are they going to do? Refuse to sign because you didn't put any money down. Like, you're at the closing table. So
exactly, you're getting your money. So
yeah,
what are you worried about?
Just keep that in mind. That's something that helps.
Yep. Okay. And the other thing too, with the appraisal, that's a like a rule or a law, like, right? It's a rule with FHA and VA. If it doesn't appraise, you're going over ask, right? If it doesn't appraise, even if that buyer had money to cover the gap, you're still not allowed to do that. Am I understanding that right?
No, you are allowed to cover the gap.
You are. Okay.
Yep. So if you're buying a $200,000 house, that's your contract, and the house appraises, let's say, at 180. If you want to bring the 20 grand extra cash to close as a VA buyer, you can do that.
You can. Okay. All right. That's all right. Good to know. I wasn't
not a problem.
Aware. Okay.
And this is why, and for a seller too, this is so good, because, if the house doesn't appraise, guess what? That conventional buyer, he's still got to make up that difference. So your conventional buyer still has to pay the 20 grand, plus he still has to do his down payment on his loan on top of that. So whatever he's doing is 5% usually minimum. But he's still got to do that. Whereas a VA buyer can still do a zero money down, 100% loan to value. So they could get that 180 grand loan, do the 20 grand out of pocket difference,
That's
so
right.
they still have less cash to close. So they're more likely to close that deal than a conventional buyer. So
that's an excellent point.
And it's stuff like that when you're working with somebody that has a lot of experience doing VA loans, this is how we were able to get, some of our buyers under contract, during a scary market time, for buyers and very competitive market.
Right.
It's just really reaching out to those listing agents and saying, hey, I'm the loan officer for so-and-so, and let me talk to you a little bit about their situation and their offer and what that means to you, you know? So,
yep. Yeah. And as long as you're showing the proof of funds, it does, you're fine, but again, it's that stigma that's attached. That's attached to it. Hi, David Matney. Welcome back. Thanks for coming. It's sad people don't appreciate what a veteran has done to earn the right to have a VA loan. Yep. I agree. It's funny. The client that I had a few years ago that went VA, the sellers chose him because he was a veteran.
Yeah.
So you will have those people, David, that appreciate, those who served in the military, and they want to help them out.
Well, and what's really good right now to keep in mind too is that if your seller is a veteran that has a VA loan, there's sometimes the seller is willing to allow you to assume that VA loan. So if they've got a mortgage with a really low interest rate down in the 2s or 3s, that's a feature that you can assume that loan, and you don't have to be a veteran to assume a VA loan.
So, really?
Yep.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Now the lender has to agree to it, and there's some other, things that, you kind of have to work through, but it's not difficult to do.
Right. Oh, that's cool.
That is
who knew?
Huge feature, especially if you're a VA seller.
Yeah. That is great. Oh my God. That's so awesome. Yeah. David agrees too. That is way cool. Right, David? I never knew that.
Now I would always recommend that the seller who is allowing the buyer to assume the loan talk to a loan officer that has experience doing VA loans, so they're aware of the ramifications of allowing somebody else to assume the mortgage and stuff like that. Just so they understand how a VA entitlement works when it comes to buying their next house and things like that.
Right.
So,
all right. Excellent. Oh my God. Thanks for sharing that little bit of info. I had no idea. So, hello, puppy.
He wouldn't leave me alone.
So, what's his name? Her name?
Hoppy.
What?
Hoppy.
Hoppy. Hi, Hoppy. Yeah. Oh my God.
He likes to come hang out anytime he senses I'm on like a live stream.
Yeah.
He's like, this is my time. I want to be the star.
Out. Yeah, my dog's out in the other room. I told my son, I'm like, get him out of here because he was going to start barking. So anyway, so I think that's all we got for today. Trevor, I so appreciate you being here. I just want to show everybody your channel really quick.
You can show them I've got the Mortgage Wingman Shorts channel.
Oh,
if you want to bring that up. So that one is.
All right, we have the Mortgage Wingman, and then
the Mortgage Wingman Shorts is the one that I provide a lot of mortgage information on there, and all my contact information is on there. But if you need to reach me, it's just themortgagewingman@gmail.com.
Awesome. Okay, so everybody, I'm going to put this down below in the description box, and you guys can check out Trevor here. He's super smart guy. I hear your dog. Oh my God, he's so cute. Hold on a second.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, the poor guy. Where'd you go? Wait, there it is. Sorry. Let me share this. Okay, here it is. Here's his channel, the Mortgage Wingman Shorts. Definitely check him out. You want to learn about mortgage stuff. He's got great information. And I'll also put your contact information as well in the description box. So anybody who is watching this on the replay, feel free to drop comments, questions. I will get back to you if you want to reach out to Trevor. Feel free. Trevor, thank you so much. This is awesome.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad I finally got you on here. It's been a while. But so appreciate it. And everybody, hope you all have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy. Don't eat too much. And we will see you next week.
All right. Sounds good.
Bye now. Thanks Trevor. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.